Hello, hi, what's up? It's me, Karen, your favorite booktuber, the baddest bitch on booktube. I think that's a joke that I made 2 years ago and then forgot about, and then recently thought about it again and was like, that's really funny. It's not that funny, but it did make me laugh. And anyways, this has nothing to do with anything, but I have decided I'm endeavoring to become cinema pilled. And if you read my newsletter, you would know all about my August challenge. In the month of August, I'm trying to watch 15 films. Initially, I was like, I'm gonna watch a movie a day. But I'm so glad I didn't do that because right now it's oh my god, it's August 23rd. And I've only seen 7 films. Yeah. No, I've seen 8. I've seen 8 films. That means I have 7 left before the month ends. But that's not even why really want to talk about today. I actually want to talk about the films that I watched in July. And if you've seen my July wrap-up video, you would know I was a bit forlorn. So this video is coming out very late. But I want to talk about the 3 films that I watched in July. Just because, I don't know, I think it would just be fun, and accountability is really important. And I think that by doing this, it'll get me to watch more films. The first film that I watched was In the Mood for Love. This is a very iconic and beautiful film. If you don't know anything about it, it is a story of 2 people, neighbors in Hong Kong, 1962, who discover that their significant others are having an affair on them. And they are both shocked by this news, and they start spending more time together, and naturally the proximity and just the nature of this betrayal is such that these 2 end up falling in love with each other. However, they don't act on their feelings because they are so just what is the right word? They're honorable. They feel like if they were to act on it, then they would become the same like their significant others, and it would be a massive betrayal. So they are just, this is a film filled with yearning and despair and just lots of long glances, and it's very beautiful. And I would say that it's interesting cinematically as well. I mean, I know all about that, but there's a lot of shots of them, like you never see the faces of the cheating partners. You see them from the back, and there's a way in which things are shot that you're kind of always looking at. I'll include screenshots because I think that will do a better job. I don't have the terminology to talk about this, but you can tell the way that like the shot is made, that it's creating this division almost, and things are being shown in like a box, and there's just like separation. And I would say the other thing that I have to say about this film that I really appreciated was that it is incredibly stylized. And I'm saying this in the compliment capacity of the word stylized. And you could argue that all films are incredibly thought out in terms of like what the shot is and the angles and what you're seeing in that particular shot and the colors and what the costumes and everything like that. And I would say, yeah, for sure. But not everyone is as concerned with aesthetic sensibilities, and in this one it is just so clear that like every decision was so intentional, and the ways in which the color red is used, and it's just such a beautiful film. Like it is something where there is this question of aesthetic sensibilities it completely excels in, and then also in terms of storytelling it is, I mean, maybe you could say it's slow, but it's really looking at the human condition and like what does it mean to be honorable, because they could both be happy, but they're consciously actively choosing to suffer and attaching a value to it, because by doing so, by being honorable, by keeping themselves from being happy, they're living out their like personal moral code. Cute like Joan, Didion on self-respect kind of vibes. And it's also interesting because there is this other character in the book, in the film. This is the guy's like bestie, or as close as you can really get as a bestie in this film. Like the only other kind of friend that he has, who's this really like a sleazeball, really sleazy. And he says to his friend, they're like getting food, and this guy is like, he owes money to prostitutes, like he's a mess. And he says something like to his friend, "You keep a lot of secrets. I'm not like you." By which he means that you have a really rich inner life. I do not. What you get is what you expect from me. And that kind of led me down this these questions. And I was like, what would this story be like if it was told through his perspective? Or if this other character was the one who found out that his wife was cheating on him? Like, well, what would that look like? And I thought that was really interesting. The other thing that I want to talk about is that after I watched it, I decided to read a review or something like that. And I think it was the New Yorker had put together this really long, it's a beautiful website. It's one of those like websites that has an infinite scroll capability. And I think it was the New Yorker, and Chayka, the guy who wrote Filterworld, wrote this article. And then at the very, very end of it, I was really vibing with the article. And then towards the end, he says something like, if this film came out now, we would say something along the lines of, sorry, that's Discord. Discord is popping off. He said something along the lines of, if this film was made now, we would look at these two characters and like we can say that their problem is that they have main character energy. And I thought that was such a silly thing to say, because I'm like, obviously these two have fucking main character energy. They're the main characters of the film. Why would we be watching it if they aren't the main characters? And I was just like, there must have been an SEO reason why he was told to put that in there and keep that there. Okay, that was the first film that I watched. The second film that I watched was Party Girl. This film came out in 1995. And I watched this because I was on TikTok, and I like on TikTok and Twitter, I get a lot of like film stuff. But the TikTok was something about films that have really great fashion. And that's why I watched this film. Party Girl is a story of this 24-year-old girl who lives in New York, and she is lost in life. She doesn't have a job, she doesn't have a purpose in her life, but she's really good at partying, and she's like a good connector, and she can throw a good party. And when we first meet her, she's basically been arrested for throwing a party without a license or whatever, or having people come through selling liquor without a license. And so she gets arrested, and her mother's best friend has to give her the bail because her mother passed away young, and we don't know where the father is at all. And so in order to pay her back, she has to start working at the library, and you're seeing this like tension between these two women where the older woman speaking to the party girl is like, you are so irresponsible, you're not smart, you don't understand what it's like to be a woman in the workforce and all this jazz. And then the narrator, the main character, who's played by Parker Posey, is like, yeah, you're right, I don't know what's going on, and you're mean to me. And while all this is happening, she's also falling in love with a Lebanese halal guy. And yeah, this movie was like funny, but at the same time there were some really like embarrassing moments, like when this man is touching her face and saying these words in Arabic, and we like don't get the quote, we don't know what he was saying, and he's just like rubbing her face, and I was just like, I needed to take a few breaks. But this film made me cry. And I was like, it's not supposed to make you cry, but I cried. And I would also have to say that, yes, the clothes were really good. Like, she looked great. There's also this like slightly absurd sort of qualities to some of the shots. At one point, the narrator, I'm calling her the narrator. She's not the narrator. The main character of the film, I don't know, whatever. You know who I'm talking about. She's having a dream, and she's like, all these books are flying at her and they're attacking her, and I just think that there was a lot of like silliness in the film, which I really appreciated. And as I was watching it, I was kind of just like, oh, if this film were to be made now, like a lot of these scenes, I don't think they would make it. I think they would have been cut. And did I mention I cried? I cried. And we'll leave that at that. I think that's everything I wanted to say there. The third film that I watched is a film that came out in 2022. It's called Godland, and oh my god. I had tried to watch this film last year, and I only made it like 20 minutes, and then I stopped, and then I really forced myself to watch it. First of all, I think it's 2 hours, and it is an incredibly beautiful film, but it is also an incredibly boring film. It's so boring. It's literally just like these long shots. And it's not like shot like a normal film, it's like this. It's more of a square. There's probably a special camera used, I don't know. But it's really beautiful. It's all about these long shots of Iceland. Or is it Greenland? Let me double check that. Iceland, I was right. Never doubt yourself. And it's a story of a Danish priest who's going to Iceland to head up some church in kind of a remote area of Iceland, and he decides to go the long way, and naturally, as a result of that, we have these long shots of the countryside, and it's so beautiful. There's also like a volcano shot, and I love volcanoes. I think they're so cool. I was about to say something that's so silly, but I'm not going to say it. And the most of the action kind of happens in the last 40 minutes of the film, 30 minutes, 20. And at this point, he's like really in the village, and he's kind of making moves on the main man of the village's daughter. And you're seeing this tension, because what this film is really about is the tension between the colonizer and the colonized, and you're seeing the tension between the Danish speakers and those who are actually like from Iceland. And I think that if you like the book, The Colony, you might like this, except know that this is even more boring than The Colony was. And I'm saying that, like, I really liked The Colony. I thought it was a great book, but this is really looking at that and how messed up the colonizer can be, and the ways in which there's just the cruelness, and how like the Danish priest thinks he's so much better than everyone else, and like this guy's a piece of shit. And you can see the ways in which, like, as the film progresses and he starts to be more unhappy that he's in Iceland and decided to do this, you see like his face gets more like gaunt, and he just looks horrible. And I think the actors kind of did a really good job, especially the actor for Ragnar, who's the only like actually I think redeemable character in this film, and the little girl. Those two are good characters. They did really great job acting. I'm an expert in acting, so I can say that. Yeah, that's all I really want to say. I think those are the main things, but stay tuned for my next video. We're gonna become a film critic. Who's on board?